Hey folks, good evening. I've been fighting this massive headache most of the day. Did get a break, so I was able to do some reviewing on the Red Book of Magic. So I figured I'd try and get an installment in before I hit the rack. But before I do that, I did want to make a couple comments about the second printing corrections for spells. Now, it turns out that for the Red Book of Magic, they did catch in the alter creature that the intelligence should be 2d6 plus 6, not 3d6 like it's in the Runequest book. However, they did not catch and bring over under bear strength that in addition to initiates and rune masters of Odala, could also be an associated cult and have the spell cast on you. They missed under Earth Shield that the power increase is temporary. I have to beg the question of how do you get your power down to 0 in the first place? So maybe this temporary power restitution was on purpose, because if the spell duration goes away and you got a power of 0, your power goes back to 0 and you die. So not really sure what is behind all of that. They also missed that in the lock spell, the equivalent strength of glue spell is the magic points used in the spell, not just boosted, right? That would be boosted. That's weird. I have to look at that again. But anyway, it's the magic points times 10, not just magic points. So if you put 3 magic points in it, it's not glue 3, it's glue 30. Okay? And as mentioned before on the swallow, which is the one that I caught before, there are conditions after it's swallowed. Just verbiage stuff. But I just want to bring it to everybody's attention. Back to the Red Book of Magic, and we're starting the next section, which is Spirit Magic. Now, Spirit Magic, basic common magic, everybody's got it, right? It's practiced in one form or another by nearly every Gloranthan culture and religion. Okay, the caster concentrates upon specific spirits that they have made a connection with. This is made easier with a focus. Okay, what do they mean by easier? What's the mechanics behind that? What happens if you don't have a focus? They actually do get to that later on, so we'll get to it. Okay. I wouldn't say easier. It does make it faster. Okay, there's a clue for you. Okay, so spirit magic temporarily alters the spiritual energy currents. They create an effect. This is done through the temporary expenditure of your own personal power, which is represented by magic points. I didn't mean do magic points like they didn't say magic points, because they do say magic points. No matter how strong we mortals may be in our own personal power, we can't do permanent sorts of things, or long-lasting sorts of things. That's why spells are 2 minutes instead of 15. Okay. Now, I do mention that power is the measure of our ability to affect the universe by force of will. And that does come in later on in some description stuff. Okay. How does spirit magic appear, sound, and feel? We actually get, I don't remember if it's in here or not. I probably should have checked, but they talk about, spirit magic is the work of spirits, right? So they have some lesser sensory types of effects, right? It may be noticeable, well, it is noticeable if someone has cast spirit magic. Your blade sharp, sword with blade sharp on it may have sheen to it, right? Or if you got protection on yourself, it may glow slightly. Or if the mace has bludgeon on it, they may have these misty tendrils of black smoke coming off of it. These kinds of flavor things, which are great. And it's nice to have these examples. And if you want to get all critical role, you can say, what does it look like when you cast this spell? Okay. But the other effects as well. Many describe a sound like pins dropping, or the hair on the back of your neck or on the back of your arm standing on end. That's cool. Okay. Next section, learning spirit magic. You can learn it from a cult, right? Rune cults teach spirit magic spells known to their rune masters. So it's not really coming from the cult, it's coming from a member of the cult. Which technically means that you could learn non-cult spells from a rune master who knows non-cult spells, right? Okay. Cult descriptions indicate what spells every temple of the cult knows. That's the cult, not special. But the spirit magic spells taught by the cult, they're listed there. Oh, some temples can teach more than just cult spirit magic listed because you've got associated cults, right? And that's how we learn some associated cult spells is by our temple having associated cult minor temples or shrines or whatever there, right? Okay. Okay, usually a cult will teach their initiates, well, their members really, right? Well, it says the initiates at a discount, generally half price, right? Lay members play full. They may even teach certain spells for free. So that gives you a lot of license on things you can do. In fact, there's a lot of license on things you can do with spirit magic spells in the next couple paragraphs. And of course, they may forbid you from learning or using certain spirit magic. Okay, here's another thing. Rune cults often teach spirit magic in return for service to a specific temple. Right now in my campaign, they're doing a whole lot of stuff being tasked to them by Queen Laika. If I start shifting that off to the Earth Temple, they could start sucking up a lot more spirit magic spells, which would be interesting. Because right now, it costs money pretty much. Well, there is time factor involved, and we haven't really discussed that in depth or in detail, except with the shaman trying to teach somebody. Okay, certain spirit magic may be offered as part of a ceremony on a cult holy day. So just one day, it almost sounds like it's free then, right? But it also says otherwise, learning a new spell takes a whole week's worth of work, which is the standard, right? The week's worth of work. But so under certain ceremonies on holy days, maybe it just gets all condensed down to one session. Okay, special cult spirit magic, another section. These spells are not taught to non-initiates and are closely held secrets. And they got a list of them here. Comprehension of vault, conceal item, Lambril, based on Lambril. False healing, Basco. Forget another Lambril. I don't even know who Lambril is. Lantern, Yamalio. Preserve herbs, Aldria. Sleep, Shalana Arroy. Sneeze, Malia. Okay, you can also learn cult magic. Why? Learning spirit magic from a cult, special cult. That should be a different font, smaller. It's like a subcategory of learning from your cult. Because now we're learning from a shaman. Okay. Shamans can teach non-variable spells costing 250 lunars or less, or variable spells up to 6 points. See page 109. Why? What's the limitation? Why is that a limitation? Now, we go in further on, we'll get into talking about how uncommon spells cost more than 250 lunars. But a shaman can find an uncommon spell. He can find any spell, right? He's just got to hunt down the spirit. But if you ask me, he's got to hunt down the spirit for any spell, right? It's just that, easy ones are easier to get. But it threw me off for the 6 point thing. I did figure it out later. It's because variable spells are 50 per point, and at 5 you're at 250. At 6 you go 300. There's that magic separation there after 350 or after 250. Okay, new larger subcategory, but not full category. Limits to spirit spell holding. You only have so many points worth of spirit magic, right? Everybody knows that. And it is charisma, which we now know is the case. It used to be, intelligence because you were memorizing spells, but we don't do that anymore. You're inflicting your force of will upon the spirits you've made contact with. Okay. Now, it does say that you can voluntarily give up possession of spirit magic spells. So those points then come away, and your charisma has now got freed up for more or different ones, right? But if you want to relearn that one, you've actually got to relearn it from the beginning, from scratch. Good to know. Good to know. Okay, the focus. To be cast effectively, again, I would say, well, they said easier earlier. I would still say speedily. Spirit magic spells require a focus. And here we get to it. Okay, contact with the focus helps trigger the release. It helps the spell work. It speeds the spell up because we're going to get to it next, right? 2 more paragraphs. Okay, next paragraph. The foci are called fetishes, right? And if focus itself is not magical, unless you have to make it magical, right? By making it something else as well. So detect magic doesn't work on those. Okay. It is possible to cast a spell with a spirit magic spell without a focus. Here we go. Here it is. But it takes 2 melee rounds to do so. 2 full melee rounds, no matter how many points it is? Or is it 2 melee rounds plus your normal strike rank casting? Or is it a melee round plus a strike rank casting, which equals out to about 2 melee rounds? Not quite sure. Because it says the first round is spent carefully visualizing the foci, the focal symbol. It doesn't say then the second melee round is an actual casting, dex strike rank plus and plus and plus and minus, which we'll get to later. Okay, focus can be carved into anything. Well, carved into the tool you're using, right? So your sword could have your foci for blade sharp on it, right? Now, doesn't mean you can only cast blade sharp on that sword. No, you can hold onto that hilt and cast it on any other weapon that you touch, kind of, as long as it's got blade, right? As long as it qualifies. And they talk about that here. Okay. Spell casting ability. That word is going to mean something later on. Okay, this is your chance to cast your spirit magic spells, which we all know is power times 5. If you're unsuccessful in your casting, you don't lose any magic points, and you can try again the next melee round. I would argue that if you failed, why not 5 more strike ranks, plus dex, plus all the other crap. And if you're less than 12, you get a second attempt in. Every spell costs a certain number of magic points to cast. Spells cannot be combined to make them more effective. We're talking about Blade Sharp 2 plus Blade Sharp 2 does not equal Blade Sharp 4. Although according to the rules, Heal 2 plus Heal 2 does equal Heal 4. And of course, there's all the exception for multi-spell with disruption. Okay, where are we at? 12 minutes. Let's stop there. We'll continue later. Happy gaming.